welcome back to 5 Minutes with Philly FileMaker. We are at phillyfilemaker.org. Come visit us. We're at DevCon 2010. This is the Sheraton Hotel and Marina, San Diego, California. And joining me, John Sindelar, who's doing the third annual year in review this year at DevCon, and also new stuff going on with Seed Code, which we'll get into in just a minute. So let's talk about the year in review. What have you got coming up? Now, this is day one of DevCon. It's actually pre-con day at DevCon, so the year in review is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow morning.
So this is a sneak peek.
No stress.
And if I have some time this afternoon, then we'll get this up on the web today, and people can actually get a sneak peek before attending that session.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming anyway to that session. So what did this year look like?
This year was surprising. Two things surprised me. Not a lot of FileMaker 11 stuff kind of out in production in like big systems, you know?
Okay.
People are slowly taking advantage of that. And you know, we were talking a couple minutes ago about how charting was kind of like FileMaker's headlining feature.
Yeah, it was the big thing.
It certainly wasn't mine. I think that filtered portals are actually like the sleeper feature in 11. Yeah, it's like, you know, the web viewer came out and it had an ostensible purpose.
Right.
But it was really all these other things. And now with Go, you know, the web viewer's got this whole new life, right? But I think filtered portals are the same way. They have this ostensible purpose, right? Global field above portal, change global field, portal changes. But they have this whole other purpose for like getting rid of redundant table occurrence groups on the graph, because now you don't need to replicate a whole different section of the graph just for the selected invoice or for the current orders. You know, you can kind of repurpose, keep the graph simpler. So that's that was the big surprise for me, is that there wasn't going to be a lot of charting, but some of this filtered portal stuff was going to come back.
Right. So you've seen, I mean, you're seeing that when you're looking out over the landscape, because, you know, people have come to, you know, sort of see this year in review to go, hey, what's out there? What's out there? Yeah. John stands up on the rocky cliff and looks out over the ocean.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you one thing we did is the guys from fmpro.org sent me a database of all the press releases since last year's DevCon, and we kind of turned them into a giant overview of the year, and we're gonna see if that'll actually run on my machine without turning it into a smoking cinder. But
that's great.
It should be kind of cool to look at. Yeah.
What's the process like? How do you get the how do you find?
Most of it is from reading blogs and Twitter and TechNet, and people will just mention a little thing, and then you email them and ask and talk and stuff. And then I do call people. I call friends at bigger firms to be like, hey, are you doing anything with X? Because I think it's interesting. And that was the weird thing about filtered portals, is I would reach out to a bunch of folks and be like, hey, you guys, no, don't have anything in production. No, we're not really using it. No, none of our clients are on 11. Yeah. I think this is one of those features that people aren't telling you have to upgrade for this. Right? And I think if I were honest about it, it's like, it's not that I can deliver features to my client that I couldn't deliver before because of filtered portals, but if there were anything that I've been doing as a coder that's made me faster, really faster, it's filtered portals, just much more productive.
Yeah, and I can see that's one of those things from a developer's perspective that, I mean, overall, I think that FileMaker 11 was one of those releases where the developers are going, oh wow, we can really, this will really affect the way we develop, but you don't see it from the user side, from the client side so much. It's not like, it's not like one of those big releases like ESS where it's like, oh, we've been waiting for years to be able to connect.
Even charts, developers are like, well, when push comes to shove, I could do charts.
True.
Now, I didn't, because they were such a pain sometimes, and now it's kind of easier to do them. And I think some of the features are like that. We didn't get a lot of raw new capabilities with 11, like filtered portals, right? We were all playing with that before.
Sure.
But things got a lot easier.
Yeah, and so it's harder to sort of pull together a list of the wow moments.
A little bit.
I guess out of that.
But some of the wow moments are really small. You remember a couple of years ago, Todd Geist shows this little web viewer that's just a calc that's record 1 of 1500, and you're like, oh right, the web viewer isn't a web viewer, it's a layout level calculation. I can write right on the layout with this thing. Yeah. And everybody's kind of like, wow.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's a game changer.
Right, and it's a little nugget. Right? And so there's more of that this year, little nugget.
I don't see where I'm loving the charts. I think that it's a great, it's great because we had built some dashboards using third-party tools, and then did them native in FileMaker, basically replicated the dashboards to measure. Yeah. And you put a developer on one, and it takes 30 hours from beginning to end, having never touched that software, that tool. Mm-hmm. You give them FileMaker 11 and say, all right, learn charting and build the same dashboard, doing it in a third of the time. So I'm loving that.
It's huge. You know, our second session is on leaving the toolbar showing and how to like kind of let FileMaker be FileMaker.
Nice.
And we close with this demo of a vertical by Lance Halberg, this amazing software called Trade School. And when he demos this for customers, he ends his demo by saying, you know, I know that the reports that are in here are pretty cool and you've said you'd really like them, but I want to show you the optional drag and drop reporting wizard that you can purchase from us. And he brings up an unlocked file with table occurrences from the main data file where they can just make new layouts. And he goes in a layout mode and he drags on a field. And you got to remember, like, for people who are into FileMaker, we just get this. For people who are not into FileMaker, that's a 5-figure feature, right?
That's
drag
right.
field to report. And he's like, and if you really want to, summarize this, he drags this chart on. And so sometimes you got to see it with new eyes to realize how cool that stuff is.
Yeah. What's new with Seed Code?
Seed Code has been busy. We just shipped. I tried to get this rub-on tattoo. This is Real Artist Ship because it was a really big year for us, but it didn't arrive in the right. It actually arrived backwards. But we just shipped our Seed Code Complete, which is the framework people build out from our regular calendar, something you add to something you already have. And so Complete is doing well. It's really fun. So now we can do a little more custom work because our framework is refreshed. And then after DevCon, like next week, we're announcing Zulu, or we're shipping Zulu, which is the collaboration with 360works to make. It's a plugin that makes it's been great. Makes FileMaker server an iCal server, so you can add and edit your FileMaker records from iCal or the iCal on your phone or iPad. And interestingly, we're going to announce a roadmap with that, a feature roadmap going out to January of next year of when we're going to add, invitations and some other.
Well, that's a great idea.
Other features.
People, can anticipate that.
Exactly, because it's a tool that you're, right. Because if you're going to make the decision to do your Google integration this way as opposed to some other way, you kind of want to know where it's heading.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the things that FM Web School did really well with FM Touch.
Yeah.
They released a version here, and it was just kind of fascinating watching people really start to trust their roadmap. You'd see posts on forums being like, well, it doesn't do this now, but they said it will in March, and they met their last 3 roadmap goals. I was like, wow, they really managed that. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's excellent. So are we going to be hearing about this in the showcase?
No, I don't think so. They've got 360works, they have a booth, and they have a lot of,
they've got a lot of stuff
2
going
new
on.
things, 3
I'm
things.
looking forward to talking to Jesse about what
So no, I don't think they're going to be talking about Zulu down in the booth.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah,
thanks.
It's great to be here. Great to be back at DevCon.
Yeah.
So 5 Minutes with Philly FileMaker, John Sindelar from Seed Code. Check out seedcode.com. Come visit us at phillyfilemaker.org. And we'll see you next time.